We're excited to have you join us this morning on our webinar, which we're going to be talking about the 5 things a true platform solution does for your customers as well as for your businesses. My name is Jon Heaps. I'm the Senior Vice President of Global Channel Sales for Corvisa, and I'm excited to introduce today one of our subject matter experts, one of the smart guys. His name is Shepler. Shepler is the Development Community Manager for our platform at Corvisa, which we refer to as Summit. Aaron may refer to the Summit throughout the presentation. But what Aaron's going to be sharing with us today is much about what happens with a platform as a service. More importantly, what it is and what it is not. We're hearing a lot about platforms as a service that's coming up in the community, but we want to make sure that we're doing more of an educational on what it is and really how it benefits you and how it benefits your customers, and as you go out throughout this community, you'll hear a lot more about what's happening in platform. So with that, I'm excited to have Aaron Shepler join us. And at this point, Aaron, I'll go ahead and turn the time over to you.
Thanks, John. As John mentioned, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining John and I today. I hope that today's session is very informative to you, and if you have any questions, feel free to note them during the presentation, and then you may ask them during our question and answer session at the end. If we don't get to your particular question, it will be certainly answered offline. Today, we will be discussing the 5 things a true platform solution does for your customers and your business, the nuances of the platform as a service model, and what separates a true platform from those entities that claim to have a platform. The platform as a service model, or as you can see here, or it's called PaaS, is a new technology model that allows you to help your clients get the exact functionality they need to suit their business processes, and we'll dive in a moment to what that means. So not all platform solutions are created equal. So what is a true platform as a service? It is essentially a cloud computing service that allows users to develop, deploy, and manage custom software applications. In addition, a true platform provides the tools, the frameworks, APIs, and programming languages necessary to facilitate that development of those applications. The particular applications built on a true platform are fully hosted, scaled, and managed in particular by the platform provider themselves. A true platform means that your customers never have to worry about any infrastructure requirements or those scaling woes that may currently plague them today, and lets them focus on their business and their core competencies. A true platform is not just a suite of interconnected products or miscellaneous technologies pieced together to create a disjointed communication solution. And certainly, a true platform as a service model does not require your customer to be responsible for managing their own telephony infrastructure to run their particular application. So here we have an example. There are some providers out there that claim to have a true platform, but today we're going to examine the differences between the providers that claim to have a PaaS model and those that truly have a platform that your customers can operate upon. Just as most people can't function without their coffee in the morning, a contact center can't function without the basic communication services. And while you can always brew a standard cup of joe at home and find it at your favorite gas station, when you want it fancy or a particular way, exactly to your preferences, you're probably going to visit your favorite coffee shop. When it comes to those business communications, the platform as a service model is essentially that personal favorite coffee shop. You look for that flexibility, and you want to get what you want and when you want it. And so, provided that you visit a true coffee shop or platform provider, you can imagine that you are going to get exactly what you want when you want it. Some cloud vendors may say that they have a platform, but you'll want to beware of some of potential imposters of these issues. So taking a look directly at feature flexibility, in the case of a PaaS imposter, it may, you may think of your typical, in the coffee example, you may think of your typical gas station where you can definitely get your coffee, but in the case of the gas station, they may have just milk and dairy creamer. But your favorite coffee shop, they would particularly have maybe all the variations of dairy that you can even imagine, right? Soy milk, almond milk, 1% milk. That way you can have your coffee just the way you like it. When it comes to feature flexibility, your particular customers have business requirements that need to be met, but in many cases, an interconnected suite of products or plugins just doesn't cut it. You need to deliver that personal experience that that customer needs to have to fit their business requirements as exactly stated. in addition to the feature flexibility, you want to be able to create those unique offerings. So with regard to ability to create unique offerings, the platform as a service imposter may just have a suite of those products, as we mentioned, that present maybe a preference pane of options. For instance, options A, B, or C. But what if your customer needs that option D? With a true platform as a service, you can now provide that option D in a much shorter, deliverable, and achievable time frame. In the end, you want your customers to be happy and have a solution that works exactly for them the way they want it to need it to operate, utilizing a true platform as a service provider that enables that flexibility to adapt to their ever-changing business needs, as we know all exist. And that way you can deliver the right solution at the right time and turn those frowns upside down. So what does a true platform as a service do for you and your customers? Let's examine the 5 things a true platform solution does for your customers and your business. Number 1, unmatched flexibility. Since the platform as a service model provides the tooling and the frameworks to build exactly what you need, that model goes beyond the typical out-of-the-box solutions to provide your customers with the exact functionality that they've always wanted. As such, providing these tailored experiences typically provides a competitive edge compared to your customers' peers. The flexibility also exists to extend current software that may exist in a particular communications solution, for instance, things like ACD or extension dialing or voicemail, so that you can extend those applications beyond the way they currently operate today and tailor them exactly to your customers' needs and wants. Or you may develop new applications from scratch as well to scale those due to seasonality and peak business communications times. So for instance, in the maybe tax space, so obviously tax season comes along and those calls may come in at a particular time and you want to be able to accommodate those peak communication times. And since you can create and edit those applications quickly as well as scale them quickly on the platform provider's hosting, you and your customers can evolve with their ever-changing business needs and meet their demands due to seasonality or things of that nature. So a quick hint here, you may want to look for a vendor that provides or can recommend development services for your customers that don't have an in-house development team. Number 2, increasing proactive outreach. Many businesses today are reactive in nature. They always take action after the mess has already been made. So one way to circumvent that is to look at different communication models. The platform as a service model allows you to explore these new communication channels. For instance, you can go beyond voice and build custom SMS or texting applications. For instance, SMS has a 5 times higher open rate than email, and 90% of all SMS are read within 3 minutes. It's a very quick, effective way to cater to those millennials. So applications such as appointment reminder systems, fraud alerts, weather traffic updates, those are examples of SMS applications, but they're very effective at getting and communicating the message. Number 3, infinite scalability. So if your customer's business grows or is seasonal in nature, you want to ensure that that solution grows with them. The platform as a service model will allow for this growth as the vendor fully hosts and scales your particular applications in real time. There's no reason to add hardware or headache as that customer grows their business. So a quick hint, you want to look for a vendor whose platform is built on a reliable cloud infrastructure to maximize scalability. Number 4, maximum security. Simply put, the network matters. When picking a provider, you want to look for a carrier class network that is designed to maximize security and compliance and isolates and protects that sensitive, personally identifiable information or customer data, and lastly, ensures that both application level and network security are of our utmost importance. Number 5, if you're looking to reduce infrastructure costs, platform as a service model is a perfect way to do that. Since that model offloads the infrastructure requirements onto that platform provider, there's no additional hardware investment required. The provider manages all of the platform's supporting infrastructure and reduces that headache and burden from your customers. As such, no pricey hardware is really set up for there for your clients to set up or maintain. They can rest easy at night knowing that it's taken care of by their platform provider. All that needs to be done is to simply write, test, and deploy the scripts or code that's necessary for those particular applications. Those applications can then be scaled as needed. So whether you have a peak business time or a slow business time, both of those aspects are covered and works the same regardless of what kind of flow you have. So what's in it for the channel partners? Adding platform as a service to your arsenal can increase your revenue and grow your business. It helps create that stickiness with maybe your current customer base. You can help your customers build their dream functionality that may not have been reasonably attainable with their current solutions or providers today. In addition, you can help companies solve their unique business problems with solutions that are specifically designed to meet their needs, rather than shoehorning in maybe an out-of-the-box solution that they may currently have. And lastly, you can expand your expertise to evolve with the industry. We've seen a major shift in the past years moving the technological burden to what is quote-unquote the cloud. And recently, we've seen an even greater shift in the need for specific customization in the space that is moving at a very fast pace. And so with a platform as a service provider, these goals are not just achievable, but they're definitely attainable in a very short time frame. So is a PaaS solution right fit for your customer? Let's look at a few different customer scenarios that you may hear. So as a customer ever said, we've always wanted to do X, Y, Z, but it's just not possible. No software works that way. That goes back to the preference pane of option A, B, or C. And there's so many cases that I've come across personally that customers try to use a software package in a way that it was just never intended, or that functionality is just ever so slightly out of reach, and there's really no way to maybe extend their current solution to really affect change as far as that particular business requirement. So with a platform as a service model, that allows you to think outside the box and start thinking how can this be tweaked, how can this be built. Really, the platform as a service is a way that allows your customers to really reach out and extend the functionality of the platform as it exists today and really get the exact experience that they're looking for. So maybe you've heard a customer say, that technology just seems to check the most boxes off the list. I guess we'll make it work. That goes back to the earlier point where they just try to fit maybe a solution or shoehorn a solution into their business and hope that it works out for them. They may have bits and pieces that they'd like to tweak, or maybe they have workflow that they're trying to achieve and they really can't really achieve a very effective workflow with their current solution. Really, a platform allows you to build applications that are very specific to their needs. Thirdly, you may have gotten the question, can we integrate directly with our CRM, business intelligence, or ERP system? There are several off-the-shelf or out-of-the-box solutions that may have a direct integration with a lot of their preferred packages, but there may be you may have customers that have, for instance, homebrew solutions that these out-of-the-box solutions just won't play nice with, right? And what a platform allows you to do, it allows you to extend those applications to really communicate directly with maybe a CRM, a business intelligence package that maybe that customer has either built in-house, or it's a modified version of maybe a popular package that they want to achieve a particular workflow within their CRM, and they've just not been able to do it since. The platform really, that model can really facilitate those integrations better than any of out-of-the-box solutions or plugins. Then lastly, you may have heard, we've used several systems in the past and we're just plain tired of switching around. We want something that is going to last and grow with our needs. And that's really where the platform can shine, is that today a business may operate in one way, but we all know that the times change and businesses change and business processes change. So when those requirements come to you that 6 months after an implementation has actually completed, that they have business process changes and they need that their communication solution to change with them, having that platform to back up those changes and actually allow them to grow their business without the headaches of worrying, has my chosen solution really held me back? That's really where the platform shines. And also, you may want to consider contact center customers who have very specific functionality requests or want to create a very specific user experience. They may be looking to switch solutions due to the lack of features or an inability to currently implement that functionality. Thirdly, they need to stand out in a saturated or highly competitive market. There's no better way to create that competitive edge for your customers than to create a communication solution that is very tailored to not only your customers, but their customers' customers. Perhaps they could benefit from a complex IVR or a sophisticated self-service option. So if you have customers that, they currently handle a lot of the workload in a call center, contact center environment, but you may have, cases where a self-service option may really shine for them and take some of the burden off their contact center. And so that's really where a platform can step in, and those integrations to provide those self-service options really shine. You may have a customer that requires industry-specific or compliance-driven functionality. So in the case of PCI, SOX, HIPAA compliance, those are aspects that are very, very touchy subjects for customers, right? And you want to have a solution that is built around driving that compliance to the point where it is rock solid, right? From an application level security model all the way down to a network security model. You want the compliance-driven functionality to be baked into your solution rather than something that is thought of as an afterthought. You may have customers that are just plain rapidly growing or prone to changing business processes. As we spoke about earlier, those customers really would benefit from a platform solution rather than maybe an out-of-the-box solution, because those business requirements that change, you can adapt to those changes very quickly with maybe small application changes here or there. When we speak with folks in the industry, we found one of the best platform as a service conversation starters to be, what's the one thing you've always wanted to do but have never really been able to achieve? And this question really opens up the door to generate talking points about how platform as a service model can help meet their business needs and requirements of today and tomorrow. Are there any questions?
Aaron, this is John again. Let me jump back in. We do have a couple questions that I would like to bring up that came across as you've been talking. Thank you very much. I think it's been very helpful. One thing that hit me, I'd like to just add, it's very interesting when we start talking about platform as a service, and as you have explained very carefully, that it's not a one-size-fits-all, and that there's many times an opportunity they'll come in, and we'll take contact center, for example, that it may check off many of the boxes that they're looking for, but it doesn't quite do everything. And many times the customers will say, we want this to happen within the contact center. The response usually is, well, that's coming out in a future release, maybe sometime in 2016. Well, that doesn't solve their problems today. So with platform as a service, then, what you're explaining to us is that gives you the flexibility to go in and create what you want it to do and give the open APIs and everything else to accomplish greater things than what's just coming outside as they deliver the package. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The provider of the platform really will give you the tools necessary to generate applications, regardless of the communication channel at hand. So for instance, for voice, our Summit platform has the ability to build things like IVRs, appointment reminder systems, things of that nature. So any voice application that you can pretty much dream up, that is then fully hosted and scaled in the cloud environment. So from a platform provider's perspective, that gives the customer the flexibility to generate the applications that they need to run in a scalable, repeatable manner.
Excellent. Well, Aaron, here's one of the questions, and I think it fits right along with what you just said. How long then does it take a development? How long does it typically take a development to take a platform solution? So if they want us to come in, they're going forward with it, and they want to make some changes, what is the time frame on that? How long does that take?
That's a great question. It really depends on the project at hand, but for some easy implementations, those can be turned around in anything from a few days to a week's time frame, depending on the tool set. It's typically very easy to turn around. If you're looking at maybe a complex IVR or a self-service option, those are really kind of scoped out in kind of the weeks time frame, but certainly even larger projects, those time frames range in the weeks to months rather than months to years, and I think that's definitely something that is a great takeaway from hopefully this presentation, in that when you're speaking about the platform, to your earlier point, when you have that platform available to you, whether you have your customer has an in-house development shop, or maybe you're using one of their preferred providers, those timeframes are much shorter because those tools are provided, and really that transparency of how things operate is opened up, rather than relying on the out-of-the-box solution provider to say, I'll get that feature on the roadmap, or I'll get that functionality on the roadmap for 6 months to a year out. So, and that's when they start on it. So, with the platform, you can begin immediately on those projects, rather than waiting around for that provider to provide that functionality.
Fantastic. Aaron, we have another question from one of our partners in Atlanta. They ask, can you give an example of how Corvisa's platform has addressed a client's specific needs?
Sure, absolutely. The specific example that comes to mind, just recently we've helped a health industry communications company that essentially has been able to leverage our platform to build patient-doctor interaction experience that is not just through voice but also SMS. And it helps to build that patient-doctor, maybe that bedside manner experience, and really make it more personal. Today, there are many answering services. So if you're trying to call a doctor's office off hours, there are answering services that help basically mitigate that communication. And today, this particular health industry communications company is leveraging our platform to have almost direct communication with that doctor. So, if you have a patient, for instance, that has a very, almost an emergency, or there's some folks that are very apprehensive about going to the ER these days with healthcare costs, they tend to call their doctor, and even in an emergency situation, you want to reduce the time there. And this particular company has been able to reduce that time significantly, and what they're seeing is a kind of an influx of their client base coming in to really look, instead of using kind of that pager system of off hours, they're using the mobile apps, they're using text messaging to help mitigate some of that time spent in the cases where it matters most.
Very good. That's great. Aaron, a couple more questions. Here's a question that came from Seattle. What's your advice on overcoming PaaS, or platform as a service, objections?
That's a wonderful question. My best advice has been really, what's the current, to take a look at their current burdens, right? The customer's current headaches. Typically, what we've seen in the past is really, anything ranging from particular latency on phone calls, frustrated caller experiences based off of, the inability to tailor custom experiences. So really, I think folks are really clamoring for very specific tailored experiences that are just not attainable through other means other than the platform as a service model. And so when you look to some of the, let's say, we don't want to move our things to the cloud. We've heard that before, right? They want to hold the process near and dear to their heart, but really, you have to look at their headaches that they currently have. So maybe they have an on-premise solution that, for instance, if their internal network goes down, their entire business front end from a telephony perspective goes down as well, for instance. And so, pushing that burden onto the platform telephony provider. And that way it's external to their business. That way they can really focus on their core competencies and not the telephony aspects. It really reduces the burden of your customers when you start looking toward a platform to really build upon. So I'd have to say, to overcome those objections, you really have to start with what their problems are first, with their current solutions or their current implementations, and really let the platform speak for itself, right? It's going to be things like the items that we talked about earlier. You're going to maximize security. You're going to increase the scalability. They're just, you just refer to the other, the prior 5 things that we just talked about, and really that's where the platform shines.
Wonderful. One final question that we have coming in and it is how can we best help customers understand PaaS solutions?
Sure. I think the best way to approach helping your customers understand PaaS solutions is a hybrid approach. It's really to understand what they're familiar with to begin with, right? So whether are your customers more familiar with the on-prem solutions? Maybe they're more comfortable speaking to maybe a software as a solution model where it's just more of the out-of-the-box solutions, but still technically cloud-based. Really take a look at what perspective they're coming from, and then obviously promoting the pros to the platform, the flexibility, the increased security, the scalability. I think it really drives home the point when you can show that the burden is not on them when it comes to hardware. When you're speaking to on-premise folks, I think that's always a welcome burden, right? Or welcome relieving of that burden. So, if they have an on-prem solution today, that may be sitting in their, server closet, or maybe, depending on the size of the customer, it may be in their back closet, right? That they can just shift that burden onto the platform provider, and it allows them to sleep at night. I've heard of so many situations where you come from maybe an on-premise solution that requires you to maintain either a network engineer or at least a host of folks that can be at your disposal. Kind of that shift to the platform allows you to have one point of contact for all of your telephony needs, right? So in the case of Corvisa, we have 24/7 support. So, for instance, if your customers have a particular question about, how their application is operating at 2:30 in the morning, right? Who are you going to call? And really, with a platform provider, you really want to look at those aspects of, having everything under one roof. I think is definitely kind of the best of all worlds. So, just helping them really understand that it's a shift from their either on-premise solution and the burden of hardware to bring that into the cloud and really having that one provider that kind of houses everything, and they know who to call, right? Your customers obviously would work through channel partners, and then if they have further questions, that support line is always open. And instead of running into the office and dashing in and maybe solving their own solution problems themselves, they have somebody to call. So.
Thank you, Aaron. And I would just add on top of that, though, from a sales perspective, with Corvisa, the way that it works is we recognize our partners just as our trusted partners. You're the trusted advisor with your customers. And we will help you as you find and identify these types of opportunities. As you engage with the channel directors, then we will come together and deploy all the services and the expertise that you need, whether it be Aaron Shepler or any one of our sales engineers, that we'll go in with you and help do the heavy lifting. So we want to help you identify what those are, what's happening in the marketplace. And as that comes, we'll do the heavy lifting right alongside with you. And so that's one of the beauties of working in this type of a program. So I think that takes us right up to the bottom of the hour, which is what we scheduled for our webinar today. Aaron, thank you so much. It has been very educational. And all of you who have joined, we thank you once again for joining with us today. If there's additional questions, please go ahead and send those in. We will get those back to you if there's other questions that have come. And in addition to that, we will be sending out the PowerPoint slides that Aaron has gone through with us to all those who have participated today, or all those that are on the call. You'll be receiving that deck as well. So again, we thank you for your time today. We look forward to talking to you again here in the near future. Thanks very much.